A sergeant is accused of shooting 5 soldiers at Fort Stewart before he was tackled by other troops. It's not clear what led up to yesterday morning's gunfire, but officials say the alleged shooter is 28-year-old Quornelius Radford. He is an automated logistics sergeant from Jacksonville, Florida. Officials say Radford used a personal handgun, not a military firearm. The injured soldiers are expected to recover.
Wounded soldiers were initially evacuated to Wynn Army Community Hospital right here on Fort Stewart. All arrived in stable condition, and 3 of the 5 required surgical intervention.
A shooting led to a brief lockdown of one of the country's largest army bases.
A private funeral for Detective Joshua Kelly Eklund will take place today in Santa Clarita. He was one of 3 LA County Sheriff's detectives killed July 18th when a grenade believed to be inactive exploded at a training center. Kelly Eklund served with the department for 17 years. He leaves behind his wife and 7 children. Funeral services for Detective William Osborne were Tuesday, and the service for Detective Victor Lamus is set for next week.
A new era for U.S. trade has now begun. President Trump's long-delayed tariffs on dozens of countries around the world went into effect at midnight.
Doug Luzader has more this morning from Washington on what this could all mean for our economy here, Doug.
Brooke and Bob, good morning. That's the big question. And, you know, there's going to be a big debate about this until we see some of the first inflation numbers coming in. But these are the same tariffs that the president first started talking about back in April. All of those ships, all of those goods now facing new tariffs that finally hit overnight. President Trump marking the moment on Truth Social. It's midnight, he wrote. Billions of dollars in tariffs are now flowing into the United States of America.
And we've really just started. This is just in its infancy.
At a trade announcement yesterday alongside Apple's CEO, Trump said the tariff revenues have already been pouring into the U.S. Treasury. Ultimately, his goal is to bring more manufacturing here to the United States with tariffs the likes of which we haven't seen in nearly a century. The markets, which plunged when the tariffs were first announced back in April, seem to be taking this all in stride, actually rising yesterday, hours before the deadline. But critics, and there are plenty of them, even among Republicans, say this will cause prices to rise eventually.
We haven't seen the punishment yet, and that's rising prices in the tariff goods. You will see that.
And another trade deadline looms tomorrow, with the president threatening new tariffs on nations that trade with Russia, unless a peace deal emerges for Ukraine. And there are reports now that the president could meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin as early as next week.
There's a good chance that there will be a meeting very soon.
Now, the Russian government has more or less confirmed that, at least confirmed the possibility of a meeting. There is still this broader question about whether Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, would take part in this. The president yesterday seemed to suggest that perhaps he could. The Kremlin doesn't seem so open to that. They're referring to these talks, if they happen, as being bilateral. Bob and Brooke.
Yeah, in fact, there was some Fox News reporting that Special Envoy Steve Witkoff has already been talking with Russia right now, and it's possible if there is some kind of an agreement that we could see the president and Putin come together and there could be a full-scale meeting here between the two sides.
Right. You know, Witkoff has spent some time in Russia this week. This statement more or less confirms that, saying that the talks were constructive between the two. We don't know yet even where this meeting would take place, though, assuming it happens.
Okay. My producer just saying that it's just crossing the wires that the UAE could be a possible meeting place for the two. So lots of moving parts here, everything moving so quickly. Doug Luzader live for us in Washington. We appreciate it, Doug. Thank you.
Thank you.